Welcome, vinyl community. This is Dwayne Rock and Doc Anderson with a new YouTube video. I didn't want to do one of those best of 2022 kind of videos because there's a lot of stuff released in 2022 that I just never got or was interested in. So this is more of a best finds or favorite finds of 2022. They didn't necessarily come out in 2022. Anyways, here's the first one. This is the Mummies. They're a California garage punk band that formed in 1988, and they're known for their loud, wild stage shows, and all the band members come out wrapped in bandages like mummies. And this was the 1994 Peel sessions from John Peel, famous DJ from the BBC. And this is a five song EP. I don't know if you can see the tracks there that they recorded for those sessions. And I had a hard time getting hold of it. I saw this earlier in the year on the Trash Wax website, and they had it in their catalog, but they were always out of stock. Every time I went to look for it, they were always out of stock. And then finally, after months and months of trying to find it, they did get it back in stock, and I just happened to be lucky enough to see it as soon as they got it back in. So I grabbed it while I could, knowing that would probably sell out right away. So I finally got a copy, and this is the unofficial release, or one of the. It's on red vinyl with a red generic label with nothing on it. And I believe even the originals that were on a label, that had a label on the inner label, like a label name, I believe this thing's always been an unofficial release. And I don't know about the originals because they're quite expensive if you have to find those. But on this one anyways, they didn't do a very good job of editing this thing, because there's parts where John Peel obviously came on to talk a bit, but as soon as he starts talking, they cut it off, so you just hear like half a word. So I don't know if it's like that on the originals too, or just on these later unofficial releases. So some of the albums I got in just recently, and you may have seen some of these on my last video. Here's one of them, the Fuzztones. I'm a big fan of the Fuzztones. And this is a 2022 reissue of Preaching to the Perverted. And this originally came out in 2011. And the Fuzztones are a New York kind of garage punk band that formed in 1982. And this reissue has two bonus tracks that weren't on the original release. And one of them is sort of a track for the times. It's called Vaccination Generation. And I really love the Fuzztones covers. Most of them have these really awesome artwork on it. So glad they reissued this one. Another new one that I just got is a collaboration between the front man from the Super Suckers, Eddie Spaghetti, and this guy, Frank Myers, who is the front man of Streetwalking Cheetahs. They got together and did an album together called Motherfucking Rock and Roll. And this is sort of a mixture of dirty rock, punk, outlaw country, and catchy power pop. And you can go on YouTube, and they do a really awesome cover of Mike Sharona on this album. So you can go on YouTube and check that out. Oh, here's the back cover anyways. Bunch of soup cans. And another new one that I just got, and this is another one like the Eddie Spaghetti and Frank Myers that I was trying to find, but and I've talked about this in other videos about finding these albums, but the postage is ridiculously high. You end up paying more for postage than you do for the album. But I finally got this one for a decent price out of Canada, so the postage wasn't too bad. This is an Italian band called Judah, and I believe this is their fifth album, and it was recorded live in 2021 at the Punk Rock Raduno Festival. That's a festival that takes place in Italy every year. And they were formed in 2007 by the vocalist and the guitarist from an Italian punk band called Taxi. And they're kind of a glammy pub rock / hard rock band. And they were heavily, especially in the beginning of their earlier albums, they were heavily influenced by bands like Slade and Mud and that kind of thing, the 70s glam rock bands. This is the back cover, little shot of them live. And I got this year I picked up this one from the Cramps. It's called Halloween in Heels, and this is from a live show that was recorded in October 31st of 1996 at the Warfield Theater in San Francisco, and this one's on a pumpkin orange vinyl, and it also comes with this little poster with the album art on it. There's the back cover, and the sound quality on this is just awesome. Sometimes you take your chances on these Cramps live albums, or some are good, some aren't, and I've gotten quite a few of them this year. This is one of my favorites because the sound, like I said, the sound quality on this one is just amazing. But I've got a bunch of them still that I actually haven't listened to, so one of these days I'm going to have a Cramps weekend and listen to a bunch of these. And once again, here's another band whose unofficial releases have just awesome artwork. And that's another reason I picked up a lot of Cramps live bootlegs, is because the cover art on them was just amazing. Next, a couple of things that I originally had, but then I sold them. When I moved here from Vancouver, probably going on 12 or 15 years ago, all my records were sitting down in my daughter's basement just collecting dust, and at the time I had no room for a stereo and no room to put my records in. So I don't know, it was 8 years ago or something like that I started going to record fairs and selling some of my stuff, and this is one of the ones I sold. I originally had I believe it was an OG copy in minty condition, but I wanted to get this back, and I finally found a copy, and this one is not in the greatest of shape. But this is an early 70s oldies revival band out of Australia who released 3 albums, and then they split up in the later, or not the later, but sort of like the mid 70s. And this is their debut album that was released in 1971. And it's called, the band's called Daddy Who, and the band is called Daddy Cool, and the record's called Daddy Who. And they were quite popular in Australia, I think they did a couple of tours in the U.S., but just didn't catch on in North America at all. So I'm glad I got this one back. And then a couple of months after I got that one, I found this one, which is a 1975 reissue of that same album, but it comes in this textured black vinyl sleeve, and it's pretty much the exact same album. There's a couple of tracks that were taken off this one that appeared on the original, and they added a couple other tracks. I don't know why they did that, but they did. So it's a bit different than the original. And then the inner sleeve. This is the inner sleeve, and it just has a replica of the original sleeve. Another band that I was really into back in the day, and I sold their album, but it just got reissued in 2022. This is the Count Bishops. This is the reissue of their first album, and which originally came out in 1977. And they're a UK R&B based pub rock band that featured Dave Tish, who did vocals, and he was originally in the Australian band Buffalo. And if memory serves me correctly, I think the original of this album had a textured cover, but this one doesn't. But I'm glad to get this one back. It's a great album. And I also got more reissues. This is from an Alberta band, Forbidden Dimension. They re-released a bunch of their old albums this year in 2022, and this one's Widow's Walk, and I also got this one. Somebody down there likes us. And they also reissued two of their other ones this year. Golden Age of Lasers and Cool Sounds Out of Hell. I didn't get those reissues because I have the original copies of that, so I didn't need them. But I did need these two, so I got these. And they're a Calgary horror rock / punk band out of Calgary. And this label, Wasted Wax Records, that I believe is out of Red Deer, reissued all those this year. And last year they reissued the Sin Gallery and Mars is Heaven albums last year. And they all have these great artwork from Tommy Baker, and great artwork in the inner covers. And they all were reissued in some kind of color. This is, you probably can't see it very good, but this is kind of a blue marbly kind of. And most of their albums had I think you had a choice between 3 different colors. And they just I saw it on Facebook somewhere that they actually just finished recording a new album that they are going to release in early 2023. So looking forward to that. And another Canadian band that I finally got a copy of their first album, and this was their debut from 1975. They're a Canadian hard rock band. I think they were out of Toronto. And actually, I read that when they recorded this album, Tommy Bolin was recording in the next studio, so he came in and did some guitar work on this album. And I don't know why, but this album is really hard to find. You'd think it wouldn't be that terribly hard to find, but it took me a while to get this thing, and I'd been looking for it for quite a while, and I finally got a copy this year that was in not very good condition, and then almost immediately I found this copy, which is a replacement copy that's, you can see there's a little bit of ring wear on it, but the vinyl itself is in super clean condition. So happy I finally found a good copy of Moxie's first release. And their other ones, their other albums you can find really easy, but like I said, that one's really hard to find. Here's another one I picked up this year, one of my favorite blues rock guitarists, Rory Gallagher. And I don't know if you can see this in the corner here. This was a record store release, record store day release, and it's previously unreleased live concert, which was recorded in San Diego in 1974. And I don't think I actually found this on Record Store Day. I couldn't find it, but I found it about a week later at one of the another store in Edmonton. And got a nice picture of him on the inside cover. And they've been releasing albums by Rory Gallagher for the last couple of record store days, because I know I got they did last year in two of the different drops last year. They did a live in Cleveland, which was taken from a radio broadcast, so it had him playing live in the radio station, and some interview clips. And both of those I couldn't find on Record Store Day, and I couldn't actually, both of those I couldn't even find anywhere in Canada, any of the mail order places or any of the record stores in Canada. So both of those I ended up ordering from record stores in the States. And lastly, I have this one. This is the 2001 reissue of UFO Forced album, the UK pressing, and this has got the original UK sleeve, where this picture you can see the original North American releases, the ones that came out in the US and Canada, still have this picture, but it was very faint and hazy, so you couldn't really see it. But this reissue is a double album. It features the original LP, plus it has a second album of a radio, well, an in-studio recording that I believe was actually done as a radio broadcast, but it was recorded in, let's see what, at the record plant in Los Angeles in 1975. And this is their fourth studio album, which originally came out in 1975. And it was a second LP of theirs to feature a young Michael Schenker on guitar, formerly of the Scorpions. So another one that I'm glad I found. I used to have the original, but again, I sold it. So glad I got it. So that's it for some of my best finds in 2022. I would probably say, will be my last video for this year. So I hope you all have a really good holiday and you get all that vinyl for Christmas that you were hoping for, and that you have a great new year and get some great digging in the new year and find more of that vinyl you're looking for. So this is the Rocket Dog. See you again next time, and stay healthy and stay warm.